How's everybody doing? This is Forerunning MTB. My name's Colt, and we're doing something a little different today. Did not have this one on the bingo card, but sometimes an idea for a video comes and it lands in your lap in such a way that you've got no choice but to roll with it. This is my son's balance bike. He is 3 years old, and he puts a lot of miles on this thing. A lot of them even around the house. He gets on it and he loves riding on this thing. And something crazy happened the other day. Let's talk about it. All right, folks, I need to clear the air on one thing. Trucker Co. didn't send me anything for free, and they certainly haven't reached out to me and said, hey, say something good and we'll give you something nice for it. Nothing like that. So everything I'm about to tell you is nothing more than, well, my own dumb experiences. And I didn't want anybody to think that I'd been swayed. Oh my gosh. I need to clean my workbench. So I don't usually come out and endorse products unless there's a good reason to endorse them, right? Simply working as advertised or doing the job that it's supposed to do, that doesn't get an endorsement. And one of the biggest online debates in the mountain biking community is what brand tire sealant to use. That sounds crazy. For the car guys, that's like going on to an online forum and saying, which oil do you use, right? You'll get 100 different answers, and most of the people that are answering, they don't have really much input other than, well, I use it and it works. Well, using it and it works isn't really enough to make a impact, right? So today, I'm going to talk about Trucker Co. This is the Cream 2 High Performance Tire Sealant. I have been using this now for a couple of years, and I was using the Trucker Co. brake pads, which I can say are phenomenal. For the money, they are really decent, and you can kind of afford to have a couple of extra in stock, put them on your workbench. Let's not comment on my workbench right now because I'm in the middle of a couple of projects, right? But this is a pair of Trucker Co. pads that I keep on my bench, and if I can find them, with my bench being so messy, if I need to switch brake pads out, I can just switch them out. I need to order more because I'm down to one, but these are the SRAM brake pads that they sell. I can just pull them out, drop them on the bike, and get on about it, not have to worry about ordering any or going to a shop or anything. So I saw their tire sealant, and what really caught my eye was the size of this container. I have a lot of bikes. I work on a lot of my friends' bikes. It's very common for somebody to just need a refresh on their sealant, or they're putting new tires on, or maybe they're converting to tubeless, right? Not to mention every now and then you do got to go and refresh the sealant in your own bikes. So the large size sold me. The price was very affordable. I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I probably should have researched what the average price was for this. I think it was 25 bucks when I bought this last one, which is a liter of sealant. I don't want a liter of sealant. I want a large. I'm just kidding. But this is the stuff, and I used it and it worked. And if someone said, hey, what do you use? I would tell them what I used, but I didn't really go out of my way because my only experience with it was that it worked, right? That would be like saying I own a Forerunner because I get in it and I turn the key and it cranks up, right? Cars are supposed to do that. Sealant is supposed to keep your tires not flat, and this has done a good job at that, right? But it's never really gone above and beyond. Which brings us to why we're here today. My son's balance bike. Came home from a ride last Sunday. Today is Monday, so this wasn't the Sunday a couple of days ago. This was Sunday last week. Came home from a bike ride, and as soon as I walked in the door, he wheels up on this thing and he says, my tire is so flat. And sure enough, it was riding on the rim. I said, all right, buddy, let me go fix that for you. So I brought it out here to the garage and took the front wheel off and found catastrophic failure. The entire Schrader valve had removed itself from the tube. Dunzo, right? Went on Amazon, ordered a replacement. 2 tubes, 12 inch. be here in 2 days. I said, buddy, your bike's night-night for a couple of days. And he said, no night-night, daddy fix. If you've got kids, you know what that means. This is a no-win situation. I went out and tried to fix it, right? And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, well, maybe I could use like a butane torch, or I could JB well, nothing was making sense. And I said, finally, what if I just injected 2 ounces of my Trucker Co. Cream 2 high performance tire sealant into the tube and just tried to make it work. And that's what I did. And I had to then reassemble the wheel and tire, but also had to reinsert the Schrader valve into the tube. Now, just want to point out something here. It's not meant to be removable, and it's certainly not meant to be reattachable. All right, I was able to inject this stuff through a gaping like 1/4-inch hole in the tube, and then I had to finagle this valve stem back in there, but in my mind, there was no way it was going to hold air. And we put some air into it, and it was spitting and sputtering, tire sealant everywhere, and I was like, this isn't working. But then the tire was holding air, and the spitting and sputtering started to slow down. So I kept adding air to it until it held. And then from that point, I just manipulated the tire a lot. I wanted as much of that tire sealant to get in there as possible, and it eventually stopped leaking altogether. My son rode around on the bike for another hour to hour and a half on Saturday, or on Sunday. He rode it Monday, he rode it Tuesday. New valves, new tubes were in, waiting on me. When I got home from work, hadn't even had a chance to put them in yet. He was still riding this today. It was still holding. This stuff kind of did the impossible in my book. I'm not saying it would work on an adult bike, right? I'm not saying it should have worked to begin with. But what I am saying is having an entire valve come out of a tube and then be sealed in place enough to hold air and be ridden by tire sealant made me raise my eyebrow. And now I can say, this is the stuff I use. This is the stuff I use because it works. And I have a story that goes along with it that goes above and beyond what I ever expected. Okay. It went from, yeah, I would refresh my sealant and there would be a bunch of thorns and I never got a flat, to it did something it shouldn't have done. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take this off. I'm going to actually show you what I was talking about. And I am going to replace both tubes with new tubes. And the reason why is because this is a E-balance bike, an EBB, electronic balance bike. My son is 3. He has no fear. He is reckless, and I don't want this to go catastrophically flat again, because it will go catastrophically flat instantly when you take the entire valve out of it and there's a 1/4-inch hole letting the air out. I don't want him to experience that, so I'm just going to go ahead and replace both tubes. These are like Chinese things, but the fact that it held the air as long as it did, with him riding it and him trying to ride it off the couch and all the other crazy stuff he does, I wanted to share that with you, because once again, most of the time when people are sharing what they use, it's because it's what they use and they're using it for whatever reason that they use it, not necessarily because it's amazing. So stick with me. I'm going to take this thing apart and we're going to see what the damage actually looked like on camera. Tighty lefty loosey or something like that. These are kind of a pain in the butt to take off, if we're being honest, because, well, they're just cheap. And I gotta see if I can get this other wrench down in here to keep this thing from spinning enough that I can loosen this one. This is not a fun ordeal. All right, we've got this rascal off. Now let's see if we can take it apart. And you can actually see the carnage I was talking about. Um, this is the True Tension. It's got the Gorilla on it. Saw a video of them one time and I was like, hey, that looks handy. Another product I can probably recommend. These are a great little tire lever. Okay, this is easy to take apart because, well, 12 inches, just what it is. All right, and in the process of taking it apart, it did pull back out. I mean, this was just held in place. I'm gonna try to see if I can find, oh, it's still in the wheel. Look at that. So in the process of taking it apart, it did come back out, right? And that's to be expected. Once again, this is not meant to be removable, and it's certainly not meant to be replaceable, but that's what we were dealing with. And what I was able to do was force this back in there, and that sealant actually did the trick and sealed it good enough that my son could get another week of riding. Okay, and I mean, just look at this, right? I don't know if you can see much with my big mitts in the way, but it's not like it's held in place by friction. Once again, this is not meant to be removed and put back together, right? And that Trucker Co. Cream 2, it did the job, man. I mean, you can see there's a bunch of sealant on the outside of the tube. It was spitting and sputtering everywhere until it finally clogged everything up. But you know, this is a very cheap tube. It's a very cheap balance bike. I got it because it has the electric motor and it lights up. And then we added his little bell to it. And that bell now rings terror because when you hear that, you know he's on his way with his balance bike. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get this all put back together with the new tubes. I'm gonna check these new tubes. I haven't checked them yet. It looks like there is a removable valve core, so I will be putting a little bit of Trucker Co. tire sealant in these new ones as well, just in case he runs over something. And we're going to get this put back together with 2 fresh tubes with some sealant, and he's going to be ready to terrorize the house, the dogs, the cats, and even the neighborhood again. I mean, this thing is pretty cool. Look, it's got internal wire routing, right, for the throttle. It's got a brake. It's not like a mechanical brake. I think it just kind of reverses the motor a little bit. He's terrified of it in the electric mode, but he still does it, and he runs into stuff, and he has a lot of fun. But anyways, thank you for watching. This was weird, not expected, not planned, but it fell into my lap, and I wanted to share with you my experience with this stuff right here. Okay, Trucker Co. Cream 2 high performance tire sealant. Been using it for a few years with great results, and now I have a reason to recommend